Hey everybody, I'm Ross Chevalier, the photo video guy, and in this video I want to show you my how-to guide to leverage the power of Piccure Plus. We're going to look at 3 demos showing the 3 ways that we can use Piccure Plus as a standalone, as a filter in Photoshop, and as an external editor in tools such as Adobe Lightroom. Video will take about 30 minutes to run. It's worth your time, because when you see what this tool can do for you, without replacing other tools that you already have, you're going to be thrilled. You'll be as excited as I am. So have a seat, get yourself a beverage, and let's see how Piccure Plus can make a difference for you in getting the most out of your images and your lenses. So first, you need Piccure Plus, and you can get a trial for free. How simple is that? Just head over to www.piccureplus.com. Just select the platform that you want to try Piccure Plus on. It's available to run on Windows or to run on Macintosh. Click the download link for the software that you like. When the download completes, run the simple installer, follow the prompts, and you're ready to go. Now, if you do have a problem during install, it may be because of security software that you've got installed on your computer. That's a pretty good idea, in fact, but you can deactivate that software temporarily for the purpose of doing this installation. Please know that Piccure Plus comes with its own certificate and is digitally signed to prevent the incursion of malware. Once you've got that install done, turn your security software back on so you're properly protected. Now, I know it's going to sound a little bit like me nagging you, but there's also a really good handbook. Piccure Plus has a very simple to use interface, but it's worth your time to go through the handbook. It's simple to read, simple to follow, and it will tell you about the incredible things that Piccure Plus can do for you, so you're not guessing. And not guessing is going to save you some time. Now, if you still have questions after going through the handbook, you can go to piccurplus.com and check out the FAQ. And even after that, if you're still having issues, you can email the company using the email address support@piccure.zendesk.com. Now, one of the benefits that I love about Piccure Plus is that it gives us multiple routes to better images. It's designed to complement the software that you already have. It's not there to replace what you've got, but it's very flexible in terms of how it runs. In fact, you can run Piccure Plus as a standalone application. You can run it as a filter from within Photoshop. Or you can run it as an external editor from popular editing tools that you may already own, including Adobe Lightroom, CaptureOne, and DxO Optics. These great products all support the context of an external editor. The setups are slightly different for each of them, but it's very easy to do, and then you can call Piccure Plus from within your default editor. Now, as with anything that we do from a photographic perspective, there are always best practices to consider. First off, we want to be working from raw images, not JPEGs. Now, we're not going to have a raw versus JPEG argument. The simple reality is that JPEGs are compressed files. They've already lost over 70% of their data when they're created the first time. As a consequence, you're just not going to get the quality on output because you didn't have the quality on the input. So wherever possible, you want to work with raw images or raw images that have been imported through a RAW converter, such as we're going to find in Photoshop with Adobe Camera Raw, as we'll find in Lightroom, as we'll find in CaptureOne, as we'll find in DxO Optics. Now, it's very important that while you can do most of your editing before sending your picture out to Piccure Plus, there are 3 things you should never do. Don't do any cropping, don't do any sharpening, and don't apply any noise reduction. As I said, other edits won't impact the processing of Piccure Plus, so if you want to get them done first, feel free. In this section, I want to take you through an interface tour for the first of Piccure Plus's 2 services, and we're going to start with the service called Lens Plus. It's the one that comes up by default when we launch Piccure Plus or when we call Piccure Plus from our other software. You'll see a number of sliders, and they're very simply laid out. The slider that we refer to as quality is used to increase the processing level. The position called speed is usually all you're going to need. In fact, you only need to move the slider to quality or quality plus if you start to see artifacts in the processed image. Know that you will get a better quality image as you move it up, but also know that it's going to dramatically increase the processing time because Piccure Plus is doing image analysis across all the pixels in the image. It's not just applying a filter or a stamp or a subtle blur to correct things. It's doing math, and that math is very complicated. Piccure Plus has been built so speed will usually do the job for you, but you've got options if you want them. Just know it's going to take a little bit longer. The slider referred to as optical aberration is specifically to correct these aberrations that can occur. Now there are 4 major settings in here that I find that I'm going to look at on a regular basis. If I'm shooting stuff with very small apertures, perhaps like a macro shot, where there is a risk of increased softness due to diffraction, I am going to put the slider at the micro position. When I'm shooting landscapes, where I've typically gone for large depth of field, so again, a relatively small aperture, I find that middle position between micro and normal is a really good place to work. The normal setting is for when we're working with larger apertures or lenses that are shot wide open. So for example, when I'm shooting wildlife, I'm typically screaming for as much light and as much shutter speed as I can get without driving the ISO through the roof. Consequently, I'm using either a wide aperture or a relatively wide open aperture, and I find that the normal setting works best here. The setting called strong is for really serious optical aberrations. I tend not to go there. If you find that you've got a real aberration challenge, give strong a try. It does take longer in processing, and you may or may not like what happens, but it's there to help you out when the time comes. The next slider is referred to as the rendering slider, and really it controls the level of sharpening that's happening within Piccure Plus. Piccure Plus's sharpening is different from what you see in other sharpening software. So unlike other sharpening software where you start with a sledgehammer, go gentle. I find that between 10 to 15 points of sharpening on the rendering slider is a really good place to start, and I find that I rarely have to go beyond that. Now, if you are seeing noise cropping up in your image as a result of the correction, or if the image was noisy to start with, click the denoise checkbox. Now, where should we start? I suggest trying with a setting of 25 as a good starting point. We know that denoising and sharpness go hand in hand as opposites, so it's great that Piccure Plus handles the two of them together. I shoot a lot of stuff at very high ISOs. High school sports at night under lights is never a well-lit scenario. Denoise can be really, really helpful when I'm doing my corrections. Our next interface tour is going to be in the Motion Plus interface, and frankly, we're going to see a lot of consistency. Here we're going to see again the speed versus quality slider, and it is used to increase the level of processing. Speed, as in the case of Lens Plus, is usually all you'll need. Increase it to remove any artifacts, but understand you're going to get increased processing time. The camera shake intensity slider is, hey, go figure, for shake correction. The micro shake setting is ideal for when the image is already pretty solid. There's just that little bit of minor softness. You know there's more there. So start at micro and give it a try. Now sometimes when you're shooting, you may have a slight focus miss on a moving subject. This is where you're going to choose the medium option. Give it a try and see how you like it. And if things have gone really, really bad, use the large setting. The rendering slider helps you control sharpness. Again, just as in Lens Plus, a gentle setting is a good place to be. Try 10 to 15 to start. Again, if you're seeing image noise, try the denoise function. Check the box and trying 25 as your starting point. Let's take a look first at how we use Piccure Plus as a standalone application. Now, in this case, there is no raw converter from an external application, so Piccure Plus provides its own. You can start correcting your raw images right out of the camera because Piccure Plus incorporates the open source DCRAW converter. There's currently support for over 600 cameras and it's updated on a regular basis. So you're probably covered. See how we edit directly using piccure Plus. Okay gang, in this demo we're going to take a look at how we can use piccure Plus as a standalone application. You'll simply launch it from either Windows Explorer or the Macintosh Finder, and this is kind of what the default screen is going to look like. You see the option to select photos simply by clicking the button and then doing either a Control or Command Select, and then you can reposit those photos in these virtual projects. So create a new one, or you may have projects that you've already created. I'm going to use the project that I've already created for this demonstration. So by clicking it, it pulls up the images, which could be stored all over the place, from the project file. This is basically meta files, so we're not making extra copies, and we can work on these photos. Now, I selected all these photos not because they're contiguous in theme, but because they come from a variety of different products. And one of the real benefits that we get in piccure Plus is the ability to work with RAW files from a variety of different cameras. So let's take a look and see what we've got. Up here, this image happens to come from a Canon 1D Mark IV, shot on a Sigma 300-2.8. Shutter speed's a little low despite a high ISO, and it's wide open. I know I've got a bit of microshake in this image, and that's what we're going to fix in this demo. But we also see this 3FR image. This comes from a Hasselblad camera, and in this case, this was shot with Hasselblad's 120 macro. I've got this file shot on a 100-400 with a Canon 1DX. I've got this image shot on the Canon 1DX with Canon 16-35. I have this image shot with Hasselblad's 50-110 zoom. And I've got this image which was shot on a Canon 5DS body using Canon's 100 macro L series lens. All different body lens combinations, all different RAW formats, all read in piccure Plus, because piccure Plus uses the open source DCRAW RAW converter and supports files from over 600 cameras. Now, for this demo, I want to show you the Motion Plus functionality, and we're going to use it with this image of the lynx. So to bring the lynx image to the foreground, I just double click it, and it opens in my default view. You can adjust this however you wish. I happen to like being able to see the before and after side by side. And while I'm pretty happy with the image, there is a bit of microshake. I think that this fur can be a little bit sharper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Motion Plus function. And in Motion Plus, I'm going to set my speed versus quality to speed. Speed works pretty well most all of the time. I only need to go to quality or quality plus if I start to see some artifacting. I know that I've got a little bit of microshake, but it's microshake. Overall, it's pretty darn sharp, zoomed in at 50%. I'm going to leave my rendering or sharpen at the default of 15. And I don't feel that there's a fundamental noise problem, so I'm going to leave denoise off. Let's see how this helps. We're going to click the preview button. piccure Plus constructs the preview, and holy cow, there is a substantial improvement in the fur right here between the eyes and also in the edges of the pupils. I've taken a good photograph and I've made it a whole lot better. Now bear in mind this image has not been edited in any way, because I opened the RAW file directly in piccure Plus. Now I could then take this new version and I could use this in my editor for other corrections that I might choose to make. To do that, I do Process, and piccure Plus has completed the process. Now to save the file, I will simply click Save, and the edited file will be saved off to the default location, in this case the project folder. So if I open the project folder, I can see there's my file, and the original file is still protected because the new file name has the extension _PICC, and it's stored in a TIFF format. So that's all there is to it in using piccure Plus as a direct application in standalone mode. Another way to use piccure Plus is to launch from Photoshop's Filters menu. When we install Piccure Plus and you have Photoshop installed on your computer, Piccure Plus will get installed in the Photoshop Filters menu. It's going to show up in a section called, go figure, Piccure Plus. Let's head over to Photoshop and go through our demonstration on how we call Piccure Plus from within Photoshop, doing that round trip with an image. Okay, gang, in this demo, we're going to use Piccure Plus as a filter from Photoshop. Now, I happen to keep all my images in a Lightroom catalog, so to get the image through Photoshop to Piccure Plus, I'm going to start very simply by doing an edit in Photoshop. And you can see that I've already done most of the correction work right here. Now, one of the things that Lightroom does whenever we bring an image in is it applies a certain level of what we call raw pre-sharpening. So if I go down to the detail menu, you can see that I have already turned this off, because one of the things that we don't want to do when we send an image off to Piccure Plus is to have any sharpening done to it. I've also done no cropping, so we are sending all the data directly off to Piccure Plus. So right click, edit in, Photoshop. And here we are in Photoshop. The images come from Lightroom, but now we're ready to do work by sending this image out to Piccure Plus using Piccure Plus as a Photoshop filter. Now, one of the things I like to do whenever I'm working with Photoshop filters is convert my objects, my layers, to smart objects. So let's prepare for that. I'm going to double click on the background and convert this from just the background to a layer. Next, I'm going to go to the filter menu and choose convert for smart filters, because I want to use Piccure Plus as a smart filter. Click OK, and Photoshop has made the change. I can see that this is a smart object because of this little icon down here in the corner in this thumbnail. Now that the image is a smart object, when I go to filter, I'm going to call Piccure Plus by scrolling in the filter menu to Piccure Plus and choose Run Piccure Plus. Now Piccure Plus has opened the image. I'm going to center it and I'm going to increase the size of the image. I'm pretty happy. It's a good lens, but I think I can make this better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Lens Plus module, set my speed versus quality setting to speed. I'm going to leave the optical aberrations setting at normal. I think it works well for the exposure that I was using. And I'm going to accept the default rendering setting. And as you know, rendering is Piccure Plus's way of describing sharpening. There's a tiny bit of noise in the image, but I'm not really worried about it. I'm most worried about the bird. So I'm going to leave denoise off. Now here I've just done an option click, and I can do this anywhere on the image I wish to place one of these intelligent frames that Piccure Plus allows us to use to say, hey, out of everything here, I really want you to pay attention to this spot. So using these settings, let's do a preview and see how it works out. Now the image is back, and I think that this is an improvement. It's sharpened up, it's certainly crisper, but I haven't got any haloing happening that's really unpleasant. It's a very, very nice looking image. And remember, we're zoomed in at 100%. So if we go back and start looking at it the way that real folks will look at the image, meaning not photographers, this looks that much better. So how do I get this back to Photoshop? It's really simple. I'm going to click the process button and it will be prepared to go back to Photoshop. Now while it's doing that, remember the use of this smart selection area. This allows you to tell Piccure Plus the specific areas you want it to look at when it's doing its calculations. This is the most important part of that image. How did I put it? Well, you can place one simply by holding down the Alt key on PC or the Option key on Mac and just clicking anywhere you want one to go. So that's a really, really useful tool. Now I've done my processing already, so I'm simply going to click Save, and the image is saved and goes back to Photoshop. But note that it's gone back under a smart filter because this is a smart object layer. And that means I can come back and I can modify my settings using my filter because it's smart without having to go through the entire process again. Now, to finish this up, I need to send this image back to Lightroom. That's easy to do, as I would in any round trip. Go to the File menu in Photoshop and click Save. Here we are back in Lightroom. We're looking at our PSD back from Photoshop. And when I zoom in, yeah, it's just that much better than the original RAW was. This is a great way to really improve the quality of the image without any of the detriments that you would find in a traditional sharpening tool because of the very sophisticated analysis that Piccure Plus is doing to help you improve your images. Now, a lot of folks use Adobe Lightroom as their default editor and catalog management system. That's certainly not the only one, but it's super popular, so I'm going to use it for our demonstration here. In the case of Lightroom and CaptureOne and DxO Optics, Piccure Plus gets set up as an external editor. Now, each of these applications approaches this somewhat differently, so check your documentation to see how to do that. So now it's time to head over to Lightroom and see how we do a round trip to Piccure Plus from Lightroom. Hey gang, in this demo, we're going to invoke Piccure Plus directly from Lightroom. Now I have this image that we're looking at, and it is an image that I shot when I was constructing a book on guitars. And it was shot originally on a Hasselblad, using Hasselblad's macro lens, the 120mm macro, and it's a really nice image. When I zoom right in though, it's a tiny bit of softness. Now whether that's the lens or me not having enough depth of field or missing focus a little bit, can't really tell. What I do know is that Piccure Plus is going to help me make this even better. So to do that, I just click using the right mouse button, right click, edit in, and I'm going to edit in Piccure Plus directly. This pops up a dialog. I'm going to edit a copy using Lightroom adjustments. File format will be TIFF. My color space will be ProPhoto RGB, 16 bits deep, resolution of 360 pixels per inch, and no compression. So to invoke this image into Piccure Plus, I just click Edit, and loads it into Piccure Plus. Now I'm just going to reposition slightly because there's a few things that we can look at. And again, that image is pretty darn good. I mean, you can see that there's a tiny little thread right here in the original that is still very, very sharp. But what I want to show you is that Piccure Plus can still help you. Now, I've used a relatively small lens opening on the lens, but I want to show you how good a job Piccure Plus can do. So in the Lens Plus module, I'm setting my speed versus quality to speed. It's the fastest route, and the only time I need to move away from it is if I start to see some artifacting. I'm going to choose normal for correcting aberrations. Let's see what it does. If I don't like what happens, I can try one of the other options, but I'm pretty confident. And I'm going to leave the rendering, the sharpening, at the default of 15, a very low level, because the way that Piccure Plus does sharpening is much more subtle without the haloing and bad after effects that we see in other sharpening tools. And this was shot at ISO 100. I don't have a noise problem. I'm going to leave the denoise service turned off. Let's click preview and see what happens. So even with a very, very large RAW file, the performance is reasonably quick. Remember, this came off a 40 megapixel Hasselblad back. That's a very, very dense 16-bit image, much denser than our usual 14-bit image. Did Piccure Plus make a difference? I think it did. I can look at the edges of the notches in the bridge blocks. I can look at the edges in the engraving and the pickup covers. I can look at the detail in the strings themselves. And it's just that much nicer. It's a sharper image, I think a better result, but without going over the top and really making things not better. Now, if I'm happy with this, and I am, it's really easy to do. I'm just going to click Process, and our process is done. Now to send the image back to Lightroom, all I have to do is click Save. And we wait for Lightroom to render. And now we're looking at the TIFF image right here that came back from piccure. And now I'm ready to go and do whatever else I need to do. But I've got that additional sharpness, that additional correction that just makes the image pop that much more. So that's how we use Piccure Plus as a plugin with Lightroom. As we end this short video, I've got some closing tips for you. Please remember that optical aberrations have next to nothing to do with you getting proper focus or having proper exposure settings. Piccure Plus is designed to work on problems resulting from the optical system. Yeah, you might have a micro shake problem, but we're presuming that you're getting your focus pretty close to bang on and that your exposure settings are good enough to make a promising and fruitful image. Piccure Plus isn't designed to fix those things. That's what other tools do. Now, Piccure Plus accounts for sharpness differences from center to edge, and it corrects appropriately. That means that the correction will vary across an image. Consequently, you're going to get your best results working with uncropped images. Remember I said, don't send cropped images to Piccure Plus if you can all avoid it. It's going to work best, of course, with uncropped RAW or converted RAW images. And in fact, the more megapixels you feed it, the more data it has to work with, and the better the results can be. That said, I often use Piccure Plus on images that I've shot on my sports camera, which is less than 20 megapixels, and in every case, consistently find that Piccure Plus is adding value. You'll also note that Piccure Plus has no auto button. An auto button is kind of like a rubber stamp. Each of your images is unique, so simply stamping the same fix on every image wouldn't actually fix anything. Piccure Plus takes a little longer, but it actually fixes your images. It's different from the other tools you've seen. Now, if you find that your image is already tack sharp and clean, you may not need to use Piccure Plus on it, and that's okay. Use Piccure Plus when you need it as a complement to the tools you already have. Please understand, I'm not suggesting that you use Piccure Plus on every single image you shoot, because you may not have to. But when you need the help, it's great to know it's there. Hey, thanks very much for watching. I hope you found the video informative and that you're going to take advantage of that 30-day free trial of Piccure Plus if you have not already done so. The URL is presented in the video, so it's easy to get. Remember, runs on Mac or Windows, and it's going to make a difference in your images and help you get more out of your lenses. I'm Ross Chevalier, the photo video guy. Thanks very much, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.